Hey, beautiful people. You are listening to Uncle Rhino, and this is the Danaya Azure Radio.
Hello, Uncle Ryan, and welcome to Danaya Azure Radio. How are you?
I'm good, baby girl. How are you?
Now, y'all, I typically don't start with the birth stories, but I need you to hear Uncle Ryan's birth story. Talk about who your father was and what happened the day you were born.
Yeah, my father was a starting pitcher originally for the Chicago Cubs, and then he was traded to the California Angels. My mother was a beauty queen from Texas, and his best friend at the time was a well-known baseball pitcher named Nolan Ryan, who had come over, and actually he was with the Mets, but so he and my father could hang out. They actually were. He was living with my parents. Nolan Ryan was, and that's where my name Ryan came from. And so, anyway, that was when my mom was pregnant with me, and anyhow, I was born very, very early. I was supposed to have been the full 9 months like everybody else. I was like 2 months early, and they expected me to be half a pound. I came out 7 pounds 9 ounces, growling at the doctor. But the thing is my father. This is before cell phones, obviously, and so my father, he was in the middle of a game. He had no idea that this has happened. They stopped the game at Angels Anaheim Stadium. Never, nobody knew what was happening, my father included. Everybody's kind of looking around. And that's when the announcer announced to the crowd, and congratulations to my father, he now had a son. And they put my weight and my measurements and everything up on the scoreboard in Anaheim Stadium. So that's how I came into the world on my first day.
So when we talk about born to be a star, he literally was born to be a star. I absolutely love it. So y'all who do not know who Uncle Brian is, he is an amazing country singer and songwriter, just doing so many phenomenal things. He originally was with the group Abel Kane, and I got to meet him when because I'm working with Hope for Maui, and he's blessed our stage with some incredible songs for our concert series. And just getting to know him has been such a scene, so amazing, such a beautiful spirit. And he has the funniest stories, y'all. We were literally just talking about the our like what we're gonna say like on the interview, because you know how y'all know how I am. I don't go off a script, but I always ask my guests what are they comfortable talking about. And he mentioned his birth story, and I said, wait, hold on, let me go ahead and get the recording started, because that is insane and that is amazing. So, how did you originally get started into music?
So I lost a bet. I was 16 years old. I know it was something that, yeah, I lost. I don't even remember what I would have got if I won, but all I know is I lost, and I think she had it rigged. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so I keep my word all the way to Hell's Kitchen, even when it ain't convenient. I'm gonna show up and put up. So I went down to this little show, a little amateur show they had in East Texas, and it was after the show. And I got up and I had the audition. Everybody had left this theater. They were all filing out, and I got up with the band. And I remember feeling all the blood going up into my face, and it wasn't coming back down. I thought I was literally going to fall out up there, but I kept it together. I was singing, and we did a rock song. He went verse and then the chorus, and then the band leader stopped. I thought I was doing terrible. He turned around, told the lady, he said, "Book him." And I was still trying to put it all together. What just happened? That wasn't part of the bet. It was just me show up. And I did it, and he said, "Book him." And then I turned around and looked, and there was about 80 people had come back in from the foyer and were coming back into the theater wanting to listen. And I was putting all this together. This was the first time period. And my mother was a phenomenal singer. She was, I mean, in the Baptist choir, big old champion Forest Baptist Choir. Mama could rock the house and shake the angels, but I didn't ever know that I was going to follow in behind that. So I'm built like my father, 6'5", 300 pounds. I mean, I can play any sport and rock it. But my mama, I picked up the artistic side from her also, and that's how I see the world. I did my first show, got up there, I did one song. The crowd went crazy. I went crazy. The crowd went crazy. We just kept doing this. We just kept leveling up. It was just me and the crowd. And even on my very first show, I realized then that if you come to spend a small piece of the only life you'll ever live to come and spend it with me, you will always be the star of my show. Always. And so those people, they fed off of me and I sent it right back to them. And that began a love affair all the way back in the late 80s, man. We're talking like 1988 or something. And that was just me singing. And then through some other folks, there was a local group that played. It was a all black R&B band, and I played harmonica, and they just liked me, and I loved them. And I was 17 at the time, and they let my little skinny butt get up there on the end of the stage, and I'd blow the reeds out the harp while we did Wicked, Wilson Pickett, and Percy Sledge songs and Mustang Sat, all that stuff. We did it all night. And it was zipper to butt in there, packed in that old Deep South juke joint where sweat beads didn't fall to the ground. They just jumped from person to person. We were so tight up in there. And that was really my introduction to music. I think I told you I go, years later, I would be leading sessions and I would become a producer and all these things, but I didn't know that at the time. And being a kid, my grandma, she's the one that paid for it. My first guitar lesson. I think I told you about that, where some old man, we gave him $10 for an hour, and he was going to teach me my first lesson on the guitar. And it was $10 for an hour, depending on who you talk to. Now that was one hell of a lesson, or he still owes me $5 worth, depending on who you talk to. Yeah, but that I learned from each one of those rhythm and blues men. They would show me a chord, a thing, a groove, and that's why my playing was always so different from everybody else in Nashville, because I would use a guitar not for me, because I see music in my head, so I can write without any instrument, but I use my instrument to translate what's inside me to everybody else. And that's why the way that I play the acoustic guitar is percussive. It'll start swamping out a groove real quick. You know where we go as soon as we get started. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. And country icon Uncle Rayno is my guest here on Danaya Azure Radio. So you talked about how you got started in music, but how did you get started with Abel Kane?
All right. So I had done the conventional thing. I had done it the way that the machine tells you to. I kept my mouth shut, intelligent design, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. I kept my mouth shut and did as I was told. I had one single that came out. It came in 4th in the United States. It was huge. Nobody expected that, including me. I was an unknown, and I beat out all these well-known career people, but the sound was different. We came in 4th. The video was a hot shot on the country music video station at the time, CMT. It was the hot shot video for 10 weeks straight. And we had all this huge eruption. And then 8 days after my single came out and everything was lining up for us for the next 2 years, really, my label just closed its doors. They imploded. They'd mismanaged funds and they collapsed. And for a guy who takes ownership, everything comes down to how hard did I work for it. I'm carrying everybody. That really crushed me. That really hurt me, because I took it on myself. What could I have done? And it took years for me to get my head out of that mindset and acknowledge that I didn't fail anyone. These people failed what we all were doing. Mm-hmm. And from that point right there, I went through 3 other record deals that got into different stages of securing and locking down. And at every single label, there was something within the administrative side that just kept going feral and letting it all fall apart. And I really got a bad taste in my mouth about the machine. And I realized that just because you have 30 years in a job role or industry does not mean you have 30 years experience. Typically, it means you might have 2 years experience and the remaining 28 years have been a rehash of the first 2 years. You haven't learned anything, and you use networking just to jump to job to job to job to job, and you keep making the same mistakes. I was so burnt out on that, I fell back, and I'm a writer first. So I began to just write, and I got cuts in Grey's Anatomy, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, NCIS, a bunch of TV shows and film. And I was just content to kind of fall back and do that. During that, I had already started losing a lot of people very close to me in my life, the people who built me. And that's very hard. Each of us, if things go their natural way, will all have to navigate this. You get to a point where life quits giving you things, it starts taking them away. And this is where I had pretty much pulled away from all things music. My mother had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And she was the one who had taught me to dream, my first best friend. And I was doing anything that I could to try to save her. That was what I thought as a son. So I pulled away from everything that wasn't her and my wife and my immediate family. That was when I had been contacted by a friend who had co-written a song with me for the rodeo circuit called Cowboy Up. Basically, it means that's rodeo slang for when you get knocked down, you jump right back up and start giving them some of yours, you know. And surprisingly, this song had been adopted by the Boston Red Sox. This was in 2003. All of this is so intertwined. That's why I have to go through it all to explain Abel Cain. So me pulling away from the music to focus on my family, I kept politely declining the invites to go to Boston. And I had just been nominated for Song of the Year, this for the second time. It was on a Wednesday night when the award show was. On Thursday, my stepdad had called me on the phone, and he had said, are you planning on doing anything with Boston? And I said, no, sir. I said, I'm not fooling with that stuff. It's silly. We've got bigger things going on. And he said, look, last night, Wednesday night, award show night, he said, your mom came home from chemo. He said she took her bath, put on her jammies, got her a cup of coffee, and went and jumped in front of the TV. And her feet were bouncing because she was excited sitting on the couch. And he said she saw her son's name come up on the screen, and she watched that girl come out and sing your song, and she saw everybody in camera view all singing the song with the lady on stage. And he said for 50 minutes your mama wasn't sick. For 50 minutes she glowed. I said, so what are you telling me? He said, well, I'm just saying we don't have that many chances left to make your mama smile. And if it was me, I'd be taking my ass to Boston. So I turned around and got back on the phone. As soon as I hung up with him, I waived anything that they were going to give me financially, monetarily, and I requested 2 plane tickets to be sent first class to my stepdad and my mother. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And they flew my mother and my stepdad up first class and had them set up. And the pilot, my mother saw the same thing that we saw on our plane. The pilot had taken an extra lap around downtown Boston at night, and he wanted us to look out. He told everybody I was on the plane, and everybody was clapping and hollering. I didn't realize it was that kind of thing yet. It was just me and my wife riding on a plane. We didn't know anything. And we looked out the left side of the plane at night, and all the office lights were turned on, spelling Cowboy Up down the side of all the skyscrapers. And that was when we got the full impact, or started to, of what one song written by two guys at a kitchen table, how it was impacting a whole bunch of people. And my mother got to see that. That started recharging and putting certain priorities in place for me. And that's when I realized that there's no time to waste. There's no time. Everything that the people listening right now, they need to know that everything that we do matters. You matter. You were born to be epic. You are incredible. You are so incredible. You are so powerful. And not every ripple becomes a tsunami, but every tsunami starts with a ripple. You are that ripple. And so that one little thing where my mom got to see me walk out with just a guitar in front of 55,000 people, and I sang that song, and the entire stadium was singing the chorus with me, and we were all singing to my mom. I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I hadn't have jumped. I hadn't jumped when it was time to jump. Life will tell you every wrong turn takes you where you're supposed to be. Just be ready. And what I ended up doing from that, I was so humbled and so moved by the people of New England and the organization, the Red Sox, and the experience with my mother. I wanted to create something. I'd never done it before independently. I'd always had a label or somebody. And I went in and created The Sound of Fenway, which was an arena rock album that I wrote just for the Boston Red Sox. Because with me, I always want to give you more than you give me. We're going to be at an arms race of love. If you start loving me, I'm going to love you back more. That's just how I am. And so I want you to know how much you're appreciated. So I wrote that for them. They put that CD up for sale, and they were sold out in one day. They sold almost 10,000 units, the only lot that was ever printed of CDs in one day. And that inspired me to go back to Nashville with some other sounds that I was creating, because they have country music. They tell you, you only can be over here and be country. You can only be over here and be hip hop. You can only be over here and be rock. You can only be over here and be folk. And that's crap. People are more complicated than that. People love anything that's real. That's the key part. It's got to be real, you know, and those people who divide us are not as smart as us. We are smarter. They just don't listen. And it's easier for them to make their money if they can compartmentalize. So that was where the birth of Abel Cain happened. It's Abel Cain, like a name, because everybody has some good and some bad in you. You know, everybody got some rock, some hip hop, and some country in you. Even if you don't think you got some country in you, get around your grandma and see if some country don't show up. Okay? Okay. I'm just saying we are all the same so much. And so we started putting that together, where we had big heavy metal electric guitars coming down. We had turntables tripping and ripping and scratching and popping. And we had bluegrass instruments. I brought in the hillbillies, man. And I had banjos spanking and mandolins dancing and fiddle sawing. And I had all of it going together. And people went crazy. And then they started trying to give me record deals again. And I was like a negative ghostwriter, because the first man, I ain't going to say what label he was with, first president that came to one of our shows was blown away, because the place was the theater that was packed in downtown Nashville. He saw celebrities all sitting in the crowd watching us. And his comment, he was talking about the hot chicks that show up to the show. And yes, that will happen. But the thing is, his first thing out of his mouth, he said, "I've never seen so many black people at a country show." Well, dude, you just twisted yourself up with me, bro, because I had a whole bunch of badass good people at a show. Some of them happen to be black. Some of them happen to be white. But we're not making that a thing, because it's not. Under neon lights, we're all the same color, sugar britches. Okay? Absolutely. That's how that works. I ain't got time to fool with you. And so we decided right around that time, we're going to go underground. We're going to be opening for all the heaviest man out there. We did opening from Arizona all the way up to the Northeast, up into Ohio and all through the South. We would just rattle jaws with the stuff, playing Sturgis, 150,000 people, just crazy. And that was when we knew we were connecting with everybody. And it could be a rodeo cowboy, it could be a hip hop king, it could be a downtown queen, it could be a computer geek or a tattooed freak. We had everybody. And that's what music was supposed to be. And that, my dear, is how I came around to that, because I knew how precious life was, how short our time was. And I wanted it to matter for everybody regarding everything if I was going to be a part of it. Boom.
Absolutely. And country music icon Uncle Ryan is my guest here on Danaya Azure Radio. So you talked a little bit about your experiences on stage. What is one of your most memorable experience? Let's do one on stage at a concert and then one after the show.
Good or bad?
Memorable.
Okay. The one that probably impacted me the most was in Arizona. I went wireless. I used to do that. Where the band would be roaring and rocking, and everybody's fixated on them, and they didn't even realize I disappeared. And I would show up in the crowd. So you know how I do. You know how I am already.
Yes.
I would disappear and show up in the middle of the crowd. And I did. And this one particular night, I would usually find like different people, someone that could never get close enough to me for whatever reason, a physical challenge or whatever. They couldn't get to me, a wheelchair or something. And that person would become the star right then. And I would pull out a harmonica, drop to both knees next to them, take it to a solo. Out come the camera phones. You know how it goes. And we would do it. And it would be all about them right then for the time that we were together. And this one particular night, I was walking down the aisle and I saw some parents with a little girl. And she was probably 3, maybe. And I saw her hiding inside of her dad's jacket. It was cute, but something, always listen. I always listen to the little voice, and the little voice said, stop and back up. And I did. And I was getting ready to start singing. And I walked over to the parents and I smiled at the little girl, and she hid her face. And I held out my hands and they handed her to me. And I picked her up, and she was very shy. She'd been taught to be shy. She'd been taught that she needed to hide herself. And I saw why. I picked her up, and she had deformities. And I won't get into all of them, but she had been taught that she had to always hide herself, when actually she is one of the most beautiful things ever born in an ugly world. And so that's why I scooped her up, and she was the belle of the ball. I put her on my hip, threw my arm around her. We walked out into the main where all the lights come down on us. I told her to look up at the Jumbotron. And while the guys were wrapping up their solo, and I whispered in her ear, do you see how beautiful you are? Do you see how beautiful you are? And she saw herself up there, and she heard the people roaring and screaming and clapping, because they all saw her too. They all saw how beautiful she was. Those things like that, it's not an impact I make for other people. For me personally, I feel like they're impacting me. They do that for me. But I hope that little girl, when she thinks back about it, I think she smiles really big, because that was probably the first day she got to meet herself and how beautiful she is.
I love that. That is so sweet.
That's life. That's how we're supposed to be, boo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what people don't realize. It is so important to just treat people kind. That's what I think we forget the most, is to treating people kind, respect people, no matter what, at least when you first meet them, because what does it hurt to make someone smile? What does it hurt to say hello? And so the fact that you did that for that little girl, I guarantee you she knows that to this day. I'm sure she still tells that story to this day as well. So that's really, really cool. I love it. I love it. So you have a brand new holiday song
It's
about
crazy.
the turkey fought back. Okay.
Yes.
How do we even explain this?
Okay, I get this a lot. So one of the things I like to do are just for fun exercises as a writer. And nobody does story songs anymore. They used to, but they just quit. I don't know why. Somebody told them that the human attention span isn't long enough. I don't know. But I think the greatest thing in the world, right up there with making people feel loved and appreciated, I think, is making someone laugh. I mean, like legit laugh, because we don't have enough of that. And I was watching, this is a long time ago, back when Jesus was in office. I think the president, yeah, I think the president was George Bush, baby Bush, George Bush Jr. And he was pardoning a turkey. And I remember thinking that turkey hadn't done nothing this stupid. His whole thing's dumb. Why are we watching this on TV? And I'll neither confirm nor deny, but I might have wished silently I'd give that turkey $10 if it turned around and just Cobra Kai that ass. But I didn't. I didn't say it out loud with my outside voice. Anyway, but I did start seeing a scenario in my head that was pretty funny. And the cool thing, I grew up with an incredibly colorful, deep South upbringing, which was amazing. And I had an uncle that had a boathouse right down on the water. We down here in East Texas and West Louisiana, it's bayou everywhere, right? And my uncle used to have the raccoons and the big water rats, big nutria rats. They look like a big house rat you see, except this joker's 30 pounds. And they would come up in there and they would tear up his boathouse. And so the joke is one uncle told another uncle, said, "Hey, man, if you put the radio out there and you get that thing playing crank it up, have it playing some Hank Williams or something, playing some music." He had talking about country music. He said, "Get it over there, have it turned up, and that they'll hear it and they'll scare them off. They won't come back." And he's like, "Oh, great. That's a great idea. I'll do it." Well, the mistake was made. He came back in a few days after he did that. And he said, "Man," my granddad asked him, he said, "What happened?" He said, "They tore it up and it's worse this time. They tore the whole damn thing up." And he said, "What'd they do?" He said, "They chewed a hole in the boat and all the cushions were messed up on my big old party barge and everything." And he said, "Well, didn't you do the radio?" He said, "Hell yeah, I did the radio." He said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "They come in there and turned it from Hank Williams to Run DMC. They put it over on rock and roll music or something." And that was a running joke forever, that it didn't scare them off. They just came in and changed the station and then went on to tearing stuff up. So that image, that story never left me. It stayed with me my whole life. And when I started thinking about this concept of a farmer losing turkeys to coyotes instead of, the whole thing, because they got coyote problems in Oklahoma. So to have a farmer that took an old TV instead of a radio. He took an old TV, with the rabbit ears and the UHF channel, and plugged that thing in. And the TV, the only station that would come on the TV, played the old Kung Fu Marathon channel, Enter the Dragon and all that stuff. And so I started seeing this crazy scenario that made me laugh while I was coming up with it. And I thought it'd make you guys laugh too. And instead of scaring away the coyotes, the turkeys started coming up to the light and they started watching all that Kung Fu stuff going on all day and all night. And then by proxy, being around it all day and all night, the turkeys started learning something. And all I'm going to say is it led to a change in the pecking order and a change in our train of thought when Thanksgiving rolled around and they went to go and grab one of those turkeys for Thanksgiving. So it is hilarious. It's the first Thanksgiving song I've ever heard, obviously first one I've ever written. And I wrote it in such a way that it also carries all the way through into Christmas. So I wanted to get a twofer. It ain't one holiday, it's two. And I want to make you smile. I want to make you laugh. We made a phenomenal video, animated video for it. That's
It's
got.
hilarious, man. It is too crazy.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly, right? So
Period. Yes.
yes, so we to make it appropriate for a true turkey revolt, we had to bring in Santa Claus, pilgrims, Indians. We had to have Homeland Security and news people and everything, preachers and Sierra Club and PETA. We brought everybody into it. And of course, lots and lots of kung fu and ninja turkeys. So it's I think everybody will get a big kick out of it. I hope you do, because it was written with love and it was written for you. It was written for your family. It was written to make you guys smile. And that's my hope. I hope it makes your day better. I hope it's something you want to share with your friends. And follow me on social media. Follow me I'm on every streaming platform right now. Everyone from Deezer to Tidal to Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, Pandora, everything. I'm sure I forgot something. And Danaya always puts me in my place and reminds me of what I'm missing.
Absolutely. Yes. And he is on TikTok now as well, doing his thing over there. So make sure you guys follow Uncle Rayno Source on TikTok. But yeah, I think it's really crazy to think about the way that music changes lives and the way that music uplifts people. You have this incredible song, one of my favorites, the song About Us. Please talk about how that got started and the music video and all that stuff.
Well, to write that song, you have to have people that you love. You have to lose love. You have to lose people. You have to understand what is really important, what's really a tragedy, what's really just a setback. Most of the time in our lives, we are only faced with issues, not problems. And it's usually how we respond to the issues that's typically the problem. For me, I wrote that years ago, and then I went back and rewrote it when I was sadly going to have to go to the funeral of my best friend. And it was one of those things that it's a conversation between you and me. It's not a song about me, it's a song about us. And it's everything that we have struggled with, everything we will struggle with. It's for every human being that's ever experienced the human experience. From the opening line, what defines winning? This hand we've been dealt. The fact we're still standing here answers itself. When so many fell on the highway, we go down. We hold up their memory, keep them around. We sing and we laugh, we pray and we cuss. Yeah, this is a song about us. And it's about you. I wrote it about you. I wrote it about me. That was, again, it's my whole perspective. This is my third time around in the entertainment industry. And I am not, you made the comment right at the beginning of the show about me being a star. No, ma'am. I am my mother's son. I am a guy. I am your favorite uncle, the uncle you wish you never had, but the one that shows up when it gets real. Okay. I'm that uncle. All right.
Period. Yes.
Period. And so I am you. You are me. I've been you. If you're young, I've been you. Someday I hope that you are me. I want you to be everything. I want you to be better. Mm-hmm. That's the whole perspective I have with everything. With these shows, I will play a concert for 2 hours. That'll be a 2-hour set, and it'll just be thrashing. We'll be on it the whole time. But then I'll go sit with everyone for 4 hours and sign pictures and take photos with people and connect, because that's really what it's about. The music is how we get there. The music's how we are introduced, but the human to human is why I do this. I don't do this so people will say he's a star. And I don't have fans. I have investors. I have supporters. I have shareholders. Every time you stream one song, every time you download an album, you help me continue to do this. Every time you buy one of the t-shirts or subscribe to me on Instagram for 99 cents a month, you just became my shareholder. You are an investor. You empower me to keep doing this. And so you're the reason that I'm doing it. My wife, my daughter, they are my team. You, Saba, Nick, our team, our tiny little team that since I've come back, you guys this has been a labor of love. We've been doing this together. And with every new edition, we get so much more powerful and we're able to reach more and more people. And what's amazing is we have to call it country music because in the United States that helps people understand, but it's kind of not. My music is really American music because our music in this country was made from instruments and people and styles from every other part of the planet. Then we turned around and we made it our own thing. So when you ask me what I make American music for the world. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I'm going to have hip hop flavors where they mix some of my stuff. One song was mixed. New West was mixed at Heaven Studio with Royce 5'9" and Eminem's place up there by A Villain. He mixed it. Twerking with a Twang that I wrote with Billy Ray Cyrus from Old Town Road fame with Lil Nas. Billy Ray, that song that we did, DJ KO from Atlanta came in and mixed that one out for us. I mean, there's no fences. There are no walls in this mansion we call music. There's plenty of room for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when everything is said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
People quit listening to how they're supposed to think. People only think for themselves and consider how it will affect other people around them, because it's not how much we leave with, it's how many people. It's about how deeply and how many people we touched before we left.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and most importantly, book you.
Boom. So our website is Uncle Rayno, RYANO, UncleRyano.com. That's the main website. You can go to the link tree there and it'll take you everywhere. We've done exceptionally well on Instagram. I had no social media until March of this year, and then it's gone crazy. So apparently folks can still appreciate an old guy that's got some jet fuel in his veins. That one is Uncle Ryanosaurus, Uncle Ryanosaurus on Instagram, Uncle Ryanosaurus on Facebook and Twitter. That's all in the link tree. Same thing with TikTok. What is it, Danaya, on
Uncle Rhinosaurus? Yep.
On TikTok?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up. We got so much going on, y'all. It's crazy. I'm old, but I can move fast when I got to. And this lady right here, don't let her fool you. She is a top tier professional across the board. She got everything lined out before we get started. I'm the one that's all over the ceiling. She's trying to pull me back down on the floor on a regular basis. So y'all give Miss Danaya a whole bunch of love. She's incredible to work with.
Thank you so very much. And shout out to Fiana's agency and Indigo Saba Chavez. She is a friend of the show. You guys have been hearing her and her phenomenal PSAs for Hope for Maui. So definitely make sure you guys checking her out. She's doing some incredible work as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't have you tell the story about how Ryan Reynolds had to buy his name back from you. Go ahead and explain that real quick before we get out of here.
Well, I was born first. I think I'm older than him. So, yeah, so there wasn't no buying it back from me. Me and my roommate at the time, I had my first record deal, and we had a RyanReynolds.com, Deadpool, RyanReynolds.com, and my people hollered at me, and this is when I was doing it the conventional way in Nashville, had my record deals and stuff, and they said there's a Canadian actor that wants to buy your domain. Well, that was in the beginning of the internet. I wasn't sure what the hell a domain was, but they told me it was something, so I went with that. And I'm a simple man. Y'all cut this old guy some slack. Anyway, so I said, cool. He's an actor? They said, yeah. I said, what's he done? And they told me, and I was like, oh, snap. So I went and I went to Blockbuster. That's how long ago it was. And I got the movie. We got some beer and came back for a private viewing. Yes. So we watched the movie, and it was that first movie he had out called Waiting. And it was like Applebee's meets Animal House. I was like, what the hell? And I called them. I said, this for real? And they said, yeah. And they told me how much they offered. I said, take it now. This is, oh, Lord Jesus, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be terrible. And like TURRBLE, terrible. And so I said, oh my God. And we went ahead and did it, and he got the domain. And he went on, I will say, if he's listening, to my doppelganger. I tell everybody I'm the pretty one, but we know I'm lying. Anyway, the Canadian counterpart, you have done an excellent job with our name, sir. I am greatly appreciative. It also helps that I can tell everybody that Blake Lively has screamed my name. That makes me very proud.
I love it.
God bless her. God bless her. Good Christian girl. God bless her. And to Mr. Reynolds, I appreciate you doing right by our name, sir. And yeah, he's good people. He's a great guy. If you've got to have somebody that shares the same name, he's a beautiful human being. And I'm not even holding it against him. He's from that little place called Canada either. That's cool. That's nice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate you. It's such a blessing to work with you. We got to have you come back. We got to have just some more live shoots. We got a couple more stories that we got to save for the next time.
Well, we got them. If we need them, we got them, girl.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you guys have gotten this far, much love to subscribing to us on YouTube and Spotify and Pandora and iHeart and literally every podcast platform out there. All right, you guys, have a great day, and
thank you
to express what makes you unique.